Advisory services offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The opinions voiced and information provided in this material are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments are appropriate for you, please consult with a financial advisor. Second Half Financial Partners, LLC does not provide tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax or legal advisor regarding your particular situation. Or maybe even a foreign affairs expert. That might not be bad advice place either at this point in time. Time to check in on your money and see what's going on in the financial markets this morning with Philip Statler from Statler Financial Services in downtown Sebring. And Philip, the good news about yesterday is we didn't talk about Epstein for about a full day or so in there. I'm looking for any good news I can find. How about you?
I thought maybe you're going to say the good thing about yesterday is it's over.
Yeah, that too. Well, we didn't talk about Epstein either, and I'm really kind of sick of those things. Yesterday was just a bloodbath as everybody got worried about the Greenland situation and what that's going to mean when President Trump starts talking in Davos with all the other big economic heads. Yesterday, the Dow fell by 871 points. S&P was down by 143. NASDAQ down by 561. That's 2.39%. In order not to be let out, the Russell 2000 fell by 1.2% too. What I found amusing was, you could probably guess, Europe was pretty much in the tank as well. But the Mexican, most of the South American indexes, and most of the Asian indexes were up yesterday. As long as President Trump isn't talking about them, the world economy is pretty healthy, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, it seems to be that, hey, when you focus on a different area, then that lets other countries kind of have a pass, at least for the day.
For the day. You do have the caveat in there. Yeah, they say that there's like $1 trillion in trade between the United States and Europe, and we talk about slapping 20% punitive tariffs on everybody from Europe. They do the same. Denmark is rattling cages to have everybody sell America, and a few other countries have joined on. You mentioned that you had something that the other European heads of state haven't been supporting, selling everything that isn't nailed down from America, huh?
Yeah, I saw a headline that said, it talked about, obviously, Denmark, they're anti-America right now, dumping all of our treasuries, but it said, European, that would not be the case. So that was good.
Kind of messes up their economies too, to be able to have their behavior warped. But our 10-year bond ended up jumping up to 4.3%. Remember, for lay people's reaction, when the interest rate goes up on a bond, that means people are selling it and the price is going down. So that's not necessarily good news. Kind of like yields on bonds to be stable and maybe productive for people, but we don't want it to be because everybody's selling them like chiclets, right?
Exactly. I mean, the 30-year now is back up to like 4.92% on its yield. And just to give you an example, that coupon rate, which is the interest rate the actual bond is actually paying people, is like 4.63%. So that difference is because the value is no longer $100, is now $95.
Which, of course, messes with everybody's brain when it moves too much. And just for the sake of remembering this from about a year and a half ago, that messes up a lot of other things, too, including the financial institutions who are trying to keep things matched up with the yields on the bonds that they get in their portfolio and the money that they're lending out. When they get way out of whack, that's when we have a couple of bank closures as well on the smaller banks that have to take more chances. So it's not just idle chatter. It is something that has some import on the economy as a whole.
It is. It definitely, treasuries set the tone for a lot of different interest rates out there, including mortgages. And so these things, the yield on these bonds are very important when we talk about lending money to other people and what that means in the banking system.
Which is kind of why, even when we have uncomfortably high interest rates, we still want some stability in our bond yields. We'd like to see the interest rates go down for the sake of mortgages and all the rest of the tools that depend on those rates directly and indirectly. But when things go down and up too fast, that ends up messing up a whole pile of different things, and it's not fun for the investor or for the consumer. President Trump is in this flight. I think he might be there now for the big Davos financial conference. He had to turn around because there was an electrical problem with Air Force One. Change planes and go back. They didn't say what the electrical problem was. My suspicion it was the toaster oven to warm up his Big Macs. But he is finally on his way over to Davos, and that really ought to be interesting, as all the other European big financial heads are going to be over there. I suspect he's not going to be the most popular guy at the conference.
No, he definitely won't be. They're not this time anyway. So, being in Greenland, that's not going to be good. It'll be interesting. It'll hit the news flash everywhere probably today. His talk at Davos. So, hey, but another tidbit: Wells Fargo is going to be the first bank to move their nationwide headquarters to Florida.
Woo!
Yeah.
Where'd they going? I didn't hear that.
Let's see. I just looked at the headline. It takes me a while to flag down everything else. West Palm Beach.
I vote for. Okay,
West
Palm Beach. I vote. I would vote for Loretta myself. They could use the jobs. Actually, as a low tax state like Florida is, North Carolina's been capitalizing on that for years as being a relatively low tax state. We're lower than they are, so I'm glad we're starting to attract some bigwigs for corporate headquarters in this state. And West Palm's a nice place to live, even though I can't afford to live there.
Yeah, exactly. So
wouldn't necessarily want to for the traffic anyway. But if they want to go there, they're more than welcome. It's a busy day because we're getting into the meat of earnings season, and we had one major glamour biggie reporting. And after screwing up the audio on their Star Search debut last night, how is Netflix doing?
So Netflix had a good quarter, Dave. I mean, they beat on earnings. It was by a penny, but hey, a penny's a penny, right? They beat on earnings. They beat on revenue, but they're getting really kind of cream this morning, down almost 7.5%. So I started doing a little digging, and so here's the deal. They are looking at they barely beat. And then you're looking at the fact that streaming hours, the number of hours somebody sits there and watches streaming on Netflix has declined. It hasn't gone up, or it's not going up as much as they wanted to go up. But that's one of the metrics that they look at. And so they were not happy with that metrics at all. I think the all cash bid now, because they changed it to an all cash bid for Warner Brothers, I think that's putting some pressure on the stock as well. And so that's causing it to go down significantly this morning.
The cash conversion for the Warner's bid kind of doesn't surprise me in the least. I guess when it gets down to time spent streaming, they've started to make a lot of hay out of 1 hour locally produced in-house specials. Well, an hour-long program is a heck of a lot shorter than a 2.5-hour-long movie. I would think they could explain that, wouldn't you think?
Well, no, it's not so much that, Dave. It's people are they compare people using streaming to the old cable network. Mm-hmm. People are leaving that. Mm-hmm. They're comparing that to now Netflix, comparing it to the other like social media sites that have little 10 minutes or 15 minute little shows. Mm-hmm. And because our attention span is getting so short, people are now spending more time watching those 10 or 15 minute bits instead of watching the hour shows or the 2-hour movies.
Okay. Every business gets a little more challenging as it evolves. Got any reports out from a business I actually half understand?
United Airlines.
Okay.
They had a good quarter. They beat, and so they also kind of raised their guidance. They said they expect to have a record earnings in 2026, which is, they said travel is going crazy. And so they're up almost 3.1% this morning.
Not bad. We got some good news in amongst what we're not going to like when we get to the future. So give me some more good news.
Well, I'm trying to, okay?
Uh-oh.
Everything else is kind of sliding. Yeah. So at Netflix United, I have Kraft Heinz Now,
Hmm.
they didn't come out with any earnings. However, Berkshire Hathaway has put its 27.5% ownership up for sale, a potential sale. Um,
Whoa.
yeah, that's got Kraft down 7.5% this morning.
They qualify as a sundries company. I mean, ketchup and cheese, right? I think
Yeah,
but a few thousand and a few thousand other things. That sounds almost like the poster child for what Berkshire would like.
you would think maybe they think it's run out of gas or something. I don't know, but they're going to get rid of their potential. It says potential sale. Who knows? When you do that, you have to register the SEC and let them know that you might be selling it. So, um, and then the last one I have for you is Johnson and Johnson. They came out and had better than expected earnings results for the fourth quarter as well. They also bumped up their full year forecast. And so you would think that means they would be jumping up, but they're not. There's something else in the forecast I can't really see in there, but they're down about 3% this morning.
Ooh, that's precipitous even compared to where the indexes are. One of the headlines that I was reading this morning is a bunch of the investment advisors are saying the taco theory makes every dip a buy. Evidently, the dip isn't over quite yet. 45 minutes before we open, what are we looking at this morning?
Dave, it is dipping today. Again, we are going to continue on the path we were on yesterday, just not as red. The Dow right now is down a quarter of a point. The S&P 500 is down a whole $3, and the Nasdaq 100 is down a little over a tenth of a percent. We actually have a tinge of green on the Russell 2000, up $3 right now, which is a tenth of a percent. On the other side of the coin, silver up about a third of a percent, still at $94.96 an ounce, almost at 95. My goodness sakes. Gold up 2.4%. David, is getting close to 5,000. It's at $4,880 an ounce right now.
The way things are going, I'd bet on 5,000 before too long because there's still a lot of uncertainty out there, and that's a hedge fund thing, isn't it?
There is. Crude oil is actually flat right now. Let me mention this. We talk about commodities. I read a little article or headline. De Beers, the big diamond manufacturer and producer,
Mm-hmm.
lowering prices again. First time since 2004, which or 24, which wasn't that long ago. But I saw a chart that showed diamond prices, natural diamond prices, down to about below where they were in 2002.
Wow. Those lab-made ones are getting more and more viable, aren't they?
They are. They're getting more popular. But they're really just an alternative that's become a decent alternative now.
Absolutely. Guys, go pop the question. The engagement ring is cheaper now. Looking across the pond, the Asian Rim markets were, let me do that. We'll go to the Asian Rim first. Asian Rim markets mostly up this morning. I was kind of giggling about the notion if Trump isn't looking at you, you can buy up the mainland Chinese markets. One of them was up by almost 0.75%. On the European front, it was another bloodbath over there. We had halfway through the trading day, the German market is down by 1.4%. Italy's down by 1.25%. The UK is helping. They're only down by 0.16%, but the average index over in the European community down by almost another full percent halfway through their trading day. They must not have liked seeing Air Force One arrive at Davos. 45 minutes before we open, we're red here, and they're pretty red over across the pond. If your retirement plans are starting to look a little shaky, it's about time to get some advice. How do I find you to get that advice, Philip?
Yeah, if your distribution strategy is to take money out of the market every month, man, when markets are down, not a good time. Give us a call because that's why I developed the core retirement design to help people design that retirement they always dreamed of. Give us a call at 863-382-0037 to schedule your core retirement analysis. And then join us this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on Highlands News Talk, 7:30 a.m., 95.3 FM. You can even go to our website, statlerfinancial.com, and you can get the recordings of all these shows right there at one place.
And we're grateful for that. And let's see. I will talk to you on Friday. You're going to join Doug tomorrow morning here. Fair enough?
All right, sounds good. Hit them straight.
Thank you, sir. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services. Philip Statler.
It's always good to be here. Glad you're with us today. Join us again tomorrow, same time. Thanks. Have a great day. Bye now.